Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, I've got Metagate G07 Black Lightning, the last night drift. And the box is pretty plain, as you can see. Nothing special here. Really nothing special. Very subdued. And that's going in the trash. And here he is. Drift from the last night. This is alt mode, the 2017 Mercedes AMG GTR. And right off the bat, out of the box, you got to install the mirrors, you got to install the side windows, and you got to install the Mercedes emblems, 1 and 2. And these guys are very, very flimsy. I had to use a knife to cut it off. You can still see some of the plastic on that top spur. But when pushing it down, just because of how big my thumb is compared to the emblem, I was folding over those wings. So I had to use basically the back of my knife to push directly in the center. The mirrors are non-mirrored. You've got to put stickers on. And then, of course, you pop the mirrors in. And then the windows as well. Just there's a post and port for those. But other than that, here it is. Looking very good. And you can already tell, at least it looks like it's picking up on my camera, there are some slightly different shades of red. For some people, that is going to be very annoying. I mean, even on the front bumper, which is going to be his back, dark red, bright red. It just, I don't know, really. There's the bottom, just like Haiku, which I never own, but I've at least seen videos of. You've got pretty much visible robot syndrome in the back, on the bottom. Wing can move a little. It's for transformation, but still it can. The hood can open if you can get a fingernail or something underneath it. There it is, to reveal nothing, just robot parts. But it's still cool that they do that. You can see the brake calipers and rotors behind the wheels. They don't spin with the wheel. Does roll very nicely. And the doors do open, but they're very annoying to get to. Thankfully, this window doesn't want to sit below the roof right now. So I can get in there because it's got this little tab that pops into the door. And then when you open it up, again, nothing. The way the shoulder articulates, it's kind of like a seat, but there's no steering wheel or anything. And then the windows, because they're on that post and port, you do have the option of popping them off if you want. There we go. Just give it a little bit of a wiggle. And then you can have permanently open doors, but then you're going to see that robot kibble. So it's up to you. These can get in the way for transformation. So if you have them off, it'll honestly make the legs just that tiniest little bit easier because it's one less thing to line up. But, vehicle mode will suffer for it if you care about that sort of thing. And then getting it in, it is a tight fit because you can't just push it in because of that tab. There you go. Kind of bring it down and up and down works best for me. There we go. The windows do go, whoops, all right, whatever. The windows are left and right, but they're not labeled. Mirrors pop off all the time, but if you glue them, then they're just going to be sticking out in robot mode, and I'll show you when we get to that. So I would not recommend gluing them so you can have a real nice clean robot mode. But if you're the kind of person who gets 2 copies, one for alt mode, one for robot mode, or if you just keep it in robot mode and you never have any intention of transforming it, then you could glue those in once they're at the position you're happy with. So again, I'll show you that when we get to robot mode, and you can see for yourself. And you know what? I'll just come back to that window. Accessories. So he does come with his 2 swords, Done in a nice gunmetal gray. You got some silver, you got some gold, you got MG logo on the blade. There we go. Looks very good. They do pop apart for some reason. Might be something left over from the haiku design. And then you've got his back blades for robot mode. And again, gunmetal gray with a little hint of red and the gold. Come with a little miniature Dinobot. Now, I cannot remember his name, but because he's a pterodactyl, I'm just going to call him Swoop. Little bit of metallic blue for the eyes, but otherwise just this metallic silver, and it looks like he's just cast in it. His wings do move a full 360 as needed, so you can articulate them however you wish, and he will stand perfectly fine. There you go. And then he comes, I've got it in the bag here. It comes with 3 screws as well as 2 extra stars. Those screws are supposed to be for his waist. And we'll get there when we get there. The waist, the QC on this guy is not quite up to previous Metagate releases. Like I said, I've only had Shatter so far, and it is a night and day difference of the QC, the paint quality, the finish, and everything between this guy and Shatter. Shatter is just absolutely blows this guy out of the water. And I've even heard a lot of people saying that even compared to the first haiku, this guy just isn't really up to par. There are plenty of reports of things being broken, of paint flaking off, things like that right out of the box. A lot of people are having trouble with this 3-pointed star for the Benz logo. So there are some things to watch out for. I just noticed also we got flat black here and then gloss black there. So we got mismatched blacks too. I knew about it on the spoiler and the hinges, but the body panel is a little bit more jarring. But so it is a bit of a QC lottery. I'm happy with my copy. The waist rotate is a little bit loose, but to me it's not detrimental enough to worry about, and I'm probably not going to take it apart and do anything with those screws. I'm just going to keep them. But some people are trying, like theirs are so loose and floppy they can't even hold a pose. Some people are having issues with the legs. My legs are fine. My arms are fine. So, and you can see it, other than, the windows kind of fighting you because of how they're set up, it does tab together pretty well. I've already transformed this guy a couple times. Out of the box, he was kind of blown up, like the sides were kind of split out a little, like it was just handled roughly before it went in the box or something. But first transformation in the back was able to fix that. So just buyer beware, there are some QC issues. It is, I wouldn't even say it's like a 50-50, right? It's hard to tell because there's going to be people who aren't on the message boards who have either good or bad that would skew the picture of exactly how good or bad this release is. But anywho, there is his vehicle mode and his accessories. Let's get down to a couple size comparisons before we get to transformation. Okay, some size comparisons. Here he is with Alien Attack last night. Optimus Prime. And I think they look pretty good together. Semi against supercar. I mean, it's not perfectly in scale, but, I think that works pretty well. I'm happy with that. And then Metagate Shatter, which is definitely out of scale, but yeah, I don't care too much. And then finally, your standard Carbot from Takara. So, a little bit bigger. I feel like the height difference is probably good, but I feel like the Mercedes and Countach are probably supposed to be a little bit closer in length. But hey, looks good together. Sunstreaker's G1 anyway, so. Alright, and now let's get to transformation. I've already adjusted my camera. So, transformation, overall, pretty simple, going forward and backward. Nothing is too complex or crazy about it. There's just a few tabs to be aware of, especially back here, this panel. And my mirrors, they might keep falling off. We'll see what we can do about it. I don't want to glue them, but I'll show you the difference when we get to leg mode. When we get to his legs, why I don't want to glue them. So first thing, let's go ahead and pop open his hood. Fold down the center section all the way flat. So it's sitting like that. Then go ahead and fold these wings over. And then fold them in. And there we go. We'll come back to those. Next up, we'll go ahead and lift up the back hatch. So you can see these tabs, they're like an L shape, and they just kind of gently lock over the hatch. So don't pull straight up, pull just a little bit out on this panel while pulling up on the hatch. And you want to be careful with this wing too. And a spudger will make life a little bit easier because it will do most of the work for you. There you go. Just a little bit of side to side. Bring that up. You have a tab here for a slot on the roof. Go ahead and lock that in. Don't worry too much about the spoiler right this second. We will come back to that. Just get that locked in. And these two pieces, go ahead and flip them. You want to flip them in, slide them up, and then all the way in. You got to flip them in a little bit first so you can clear that. Okay, so that's where we're at there. Next, these sail panels, they have a slot for a tab in the middle of the roof. So go ahead and just gently pull out on those. And then you can bring the roof up. And then you can kind of see it sticking out already. There's a little tab on this part of the hood that goes into this part of the door jamb. So again, pull out on the bit of the door and then pull up on the windshield area. And this whole center section of the car is going to come up on a double joint. So now that we got it like this, we're going to go ahead and take the hood and rotate it all the way around, all the way in, right? And those wing pieces will kind of stop it. And then we'll take the rest of the roof, angle that wing up a little, and you can see you've got that double joint there to work with, and fold it all over. So you're sitting like this, and then slide the spoiler down. So the spoiler should go over the hood like that, and you should have a neat little triangle of roof. Go ahead and the sides of the windshield here, they're on double hinges. Go ahead and angle them out and then up on both sides. And again, we'll adjust those just a little bit when we go into, when we're ready to fold that up into his chest cavity. So now go ahead and undo the doors. I like to do a little bit of up and out because of this tab. You can go straight out if you want. I just think that tab eventually might get worn down if you just keep going straight past it. Okay, so this is what we got. Let's go ahead. We'll lift up on the front end. So, angle you just a little bit. So is what we'll do here. These pieces that are right behind the headlights. Well, actually, hang on. Get this out first. And then you've got two tabs going into two slots. Go ahead and, yeah, get that out of the way. So that you can now do what I was just talking about. These pieces behind the headlights, you want to just angle them in. And the headlights are on ball joints, so you can move those however you need to. But you just rotate those black pieces 180 and then flip them inward. All right, again, close up. I'll push the headlight in so it's out of the way. Rotate this piece 180. And then rotate it in. There we go. Okay. Now bring this out on both sides. Go ahead and bring out that piece of the fender. Go ahead and this piece here needs to rotate inward. You can see it's got a small pin. Just rotate it basically 180 degrees so it's on the inside. Sorry. But you can see right there. That's how it should look. All right. And then just lift up on the whole front bumper area for now. Yeah, it'll get it out of the way. Go ahead and fold these two things in. They just rotate. And then rotate these 180. So your front bumper is looking like that. Different angle there. And we'll come back to that. But at least it's out of our way for the legs, which is next. You have 2 tabs and slots right here for the bumper. Go ahead and separate that. All right. You can see them right there. Now the feet, we want to get those out. They tab in. There's a slot in the feet for tabs in the elbows. So you want to undo those, do them one at a time. The arms also tab into the side of the car. We don't want to undo that right this second. We wanted to get the feet out first. So you can see right there that little, this is the tab. It's not much, but it works. And then go ahead and rotate it out. You can see the foot's on this double hinge armature. Go ahead and rotate that out. Okay. Do the same on this side. And once you undo that tab, if you wanted to, you could use the rotate right here, and you could rotate the foot out, just moving this double hinge as you need to so that it clears the body. So I'll show you this now. So if you're really scared about potentially scratching the red paint, you could just rotate them out. I don't think it's really necessary once you have everything transformed right, but you could. So once you rotate out both of these pieces, go ahead and bring this out so this top pad is flat and empty. And then rotate this over, watching how that double hinges. Right, so it should basically sit flush to the actual body panel there. And then you go ahead and keep the red folded up to the toes for now, just so it's out of the way. We'll adjust that once the rest of the leg is a little bit more complete. But, so there are his feet. Pretty much ready. And now we'll go ahead and untab from the sides of the vehicle so we can unfold his legs. Get that out of there. So this piece has a tab and slot right here and right here. The sail panel does not tab into anything, so go ahead and give that a little bit of a rotate so we have some clearance. And is what I like to do is on this gloss black sail panel, I'm basically pulling up and in. And then for the body right here, I'm going to pull out and down. I've got to untab it from the arm while also untabbing it from the sail panel. Now you can kind of untab the arm a little bit, but you don't have a lot of clearance because of the head. So you see I got that first tab right there. And then there we go. You've also got double joint here and up here, so you can work that as you need to help get everything situated. Then again, just there we go. Good. And then I'm going to use the hip outward motion, get a couple clicks on them just so I have room to work. So this joint, you got a tab here and a slot in there. Just go ahead and bring it all the way out until that fully tabs in on both sides. And it's a very gentle tab. So during transformation and during articulation, it's possible you may undo that. So I'm going to rotate this around now. Just bring it around 180. Do that on both sides. bring these sail panels around 180 on both sides. And now we're going to go ahead and do the doors. So the doors are on double hinges and the window is on a slider. So what you want to do is the painted part of the door is going to sit where it would for vehicle mode, whereas the window is going to sit on this side of the bar. You can see this little mound here that's for the screw for that knee piece. It's got a divot on the window, and then the slanted part of the window is going to sit, once we flip it around, it's going to sit pretty much right here. Right, so we got a couple things to look out for how it goes. So go ahead and bring the door all the way forward, have it sit roughly in place, bring the window down and forward, and you're just going to have to work it, get it in there. So you can see it slid all the way forward. The door is roughly where it would be for vehicle mode. The window is sitting in place. Let's see, this has been flipped around, that's been flipped. All right, so it looks like we're all good. We're going to just rotate it at that hinge and then at this double hinge, and we're going to fold it in, trying not to discombobulate everything in the process. And we have a tab right next to the window and a slot right there. So you should bring it around and it should mate, pretty much line itself up, right? Oh, and then this piece for the front fender with the gold shocks on it, that needs to be fully flipped around 180 at this point. So if it moves on you, make sure it stays in, because you have a tab going into, I'll show you better on this door, this slot on the outer bit of the rear bumper. So, but right now let's focus on this upper tab. And you can see right here is the window. So it's sitting perfectly in there. It's not interfering. It's not trying to keep the thing from closing up. So that's where we want it to be. This has basically aligned itself up. So just go ahead and get that folded in, tabbed on. Make sure that lower tab and slot down here is nice and secure. Rotate this piece 90 degrees. Rotate this, tab and slot. Lock that in. Now you can bring up the red piece for the foot. And for right this second, that's it. Let's do the other leg, and then I'll show you the side view mirror. So again, same thing. Window down, slide forward, fold over, double hinge forward, sitting in place. Rotate around. Make sure this is out of the way. Edit that out. Okay. And you see now the door wants to fight on this side. I can tell because it's trying to get in the way of that tab. Let's see, yeah, there you go. You can see it overlaying that tab. So, get in here and try and, there we go. Wasn't slid all the way forward. So, secure that tab, secure the tab at the bottom. Make sure that is rotated 90. This should just go right to its home. And I don't know what it is, but only this left leg. It's like there's something always in the way and it doesn't want to tab in the way that it's supposed to. It's only started doing that after the first couple transformations. Okay, there we go. Maybe something wasn't pushed over all the way. Lift up on that red piece. You can go ahead and bring them down. These are on double joints, so just pull them out and down. They do not slide. You can see the double joints in there. Okay, so that's it for his legs. Now real quick about the mirrors. Oh, that's perfect. One of them did it for me. So the mirrors rotate. For me, they're loose, especially the left one. So you can choose to leave the mirrors how they are in car mode, and that's how it's going to look. It's going to stick out. Or you can rotate the mirrors in, and it's going to sit in this little nook, nice and neat, and then you can see how much cleaner that looks. It's up to you. That is why I would not recommend gluing the mirrors, because if you'd glue them, then you're not going to be able to rotate them. But if you don't mind the one sticking out like that in leg when it's a leg, then you can glue it. It'll still look good in car mode, and then you don't have to worry about it coming off. Alternatively, as well, you could just leave them off, leave them in the box or in a little baggie, if you don't care about whether or not they're there in car mode. But so there's the difference. Just letting you know you've got your options there. Personally, I'm going to leave them on, and I'm going to just, have them folded in for now. But this left one especially has been popping off a lot on me, so I may change my mind on that later on. But that's the legs done. Pretty easy. Now the upper body. So we're going to rotate the belt buckle up 90 and slide the chest forward. Let me reposition here. Oops. Wrong. Okay. Move that up a little bit. So slide the chest forward. I'm going to grab onto the back here and then grab here and just slide that forward. Right? This piece, that's why we rotated it. Now it just sits inside. So for the arms, you can go ahead and raise up the elbows a little bit, just so you can push the head forward as far as it'll go, and then rotate out. So you get these blades out. Go ahead and fold this down, and fold this down. And then we'll just use the butterfly joint for now, get everything out of the way, because now we need to fold all this up in there. And as we do it, you have a slot here and here for the tabs here and here. Now, I saw someone on the message boards had this break off on them while doing this. I've not had an issue yet, as you can see, but be careful. I don't know exactly why that broke on that person. It could be they did something wrong, or it could be flimsy materials, which there's nothing you can do about it if it's flimsy materials. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So I'm going to bring these side windows out a little bit, and I'm just going to carefully get it in. Now that back piece goes with the ab crunch, so if you use the ab crunch, it's not going to help you, right? Unless it just helps you get a better grip for your hands, but it's not going to actually help the transformation. But you just go until they slide in right there. Oops, a little off camera. There you go. And you can see it kind of completes that ring. And then bring the head back. We'll touch on that again in a second. Ab crunch back. And then for those side window pieces, you see they just basically sit on the side of his chest. So make sure that those are fully flush. And all we have left is his shoulders. These red pads, lift them up. They are tabbed in here and here and here. So you have 3 points of tabbing them to lock all of this in place. And then you got a double joint. Bring this elbow forward best as you can, and then rotate this 180. And the elbow may still be in the way a little, so with this piece you may have to kind of get a little bit wiggle. You may have to flex it just the smallest amount to get it past the elbow, and then just fold that over like that. And now other side, bring that in, rotate it 180. all the way over, fold that down. Go ahead and bring your hands up. You can see they have some very good wrist articulation, which comes in handy for transformation. And last couple things. The rear, go ahead and fold these headlight pieces down. Since I'm doing it now, I need to fold the legs forward, but probably would have been easier to do it earlier. I should have. Don't know why I didn't. But either way, fold those in. The headlights don't matter. They're on a ball joint. You can leave them however you want. I'm just going to leave them like that, which is pretty much how they are for car mode. And we'll go ahead and attach the little swords. Ugh. Don't get allergies, people. They are. I can hear my voice changing now. Ooh, they are getting to me. All right, split his head so the helmet is apart, the crest is up, and that is robot mode. And I think he looks excellent. Is that the same mirror? Same mirror just fell off. I'm not editing that out because this is an annoyance and buyer beware and all that. I'm gonna reattach that again. And see, if it continues to fight me that much, then I might end up gluing it and just dealing with it not being correct when it goes into vehicle mode. We'll see. Anywho, so there he is, Drift from the last night. And like I said, I like the design. I think he looks really good. He looked good in Age of Extinction as well. I just didn't go for that figure. I almost did, but I was going to buy it on a Friday, and I checked on the Thursday, and it was out of stock, and I just never really bothered to try looking again because that was about the time I heard this guy was coming out. I figured, well, I'll just do this guy. I like this alt mode better. Anyway, but let's get a good look in. See, they slightly redesigned his face. Very nice looking head crest. I mean, he's got the mismatch paint. That's a theme. There is his chest. Nice vehicle front there. Looks like it's panels made up for samurai armor. Where there is paint, the paint does look nice. Even though some of the shades might be iffy, it does still look nice. Nice red and black scheme with some silver, some gunmetal, and some gold in there. I think it looks pretty good. So we can see the front. There is the back. They didn't change this, so it still looks like it's the Bugatti Veyron's W16 engine, as opposed to the supercharged V8 that would have been in the Mercedes, but only car people or ones that really study the movies are going to notice that. I just think that's kind of funny. But there you have his back. Very little detail on the back. You got the little bit of armor there, some like shocks here, but other than that, it's just a bunch of car stuff. But it cleans up very, very nicely. So there you go. And of course, he can hold his swords very nicely with the standard tab and slot. Bring his thumb down and rotate that first. The ball joints for the thumbs are a little stiff. And the way that they gave his thumb, so his hand looks like it grips the blade really well. But the thumbs, and I'll show you on this one, it is only a ball joint and a single pin. There's no second pin, even though they could have. So that's as good as the thumb is going to get. It's just like this, pretty much. It just looks weird if you look at it too closely. Of course, he does have the two blades. I am not sure if there is any kind of storage. Not that I really care. Thought I saw somebody hooking it like onto the side of these pegs. You can't use these holes because of where they're at. Everything's just too close. It does fit into the hole for those, but it's a very loose fit. So if you do that, it's going to be, put it on and basically leave it. You've got the peg here on the side of the blade, and it's pretty much the same thing. With them standing straight so the butt piece is out of the way, you can have one in there. And I mean, that's secure enough. You could have one on his back and then he could be holding one. But you can't put both there at the same time. This port you're not going to be able to use because everything else is too close to it. And yeah, I think that's really about it. I don't see any way to attach it to these posts on the side. Nope, they won't fit through the gap in the blade. So yeah. So that's really it for storage. Not much going on. So you can have one on his back and he can hold one, but that's about it. Let's head through articulation. So, well, real quick before I do, the head, the back of the helmet, they should have done something about that, because this is about where the gold piece of his neck should sit. But you can see now he's facing forward. And if you want his head to face forward, now you got to bring the neck forward. So that's looking straight ahead. So it is odd the way that they designed that. So he's pretty much just always going to have a little bit of a downward look to him. So it is what it is. For me, that's not a deal breaker, but again, I know some people that may be a much bigger deal than it is for me. So that's why I pointed out. Arms, we'll do a full 360. You just have to watch this back piece as it hits the backpack. You do have a butterfly joint. You can go all the way out. This is as far out as you can go. Tiny little bit of collision. If you kind of rotate things, you can get a couple degrees more, but not too much. You do have bicep rotate. You have a double jointed elbow for transformation, but it gets you all the way up there. You have a forearm rotate. You have in and out for the wrist. Fingers are all together on 2 pins, and the thumb is a ball joint in a single pin. So you can pretty much do a fist. And then, like I said, he can hold his weapon. It's just a little odd. Okay, no. For some reason I was thinking there was detail on the inside of that panel. There is not. Okay, and then waist rotation. This is all you get because of the butt pieces. But you can see that's also pretty loose. That's the only looseness I have. Some people have had much worse, but that's it. He does have an ab crunch, goes all the way down to there, and you come up a little bit just so it clears that back piece, and you can really see the looseness of the waist. Like I said, to me it's not a big deal, but I know to other people that's a big deal. Legs go out to there because they collide, but if you use the thigh rotate, then you can get them up much higher. You will go back. So if you have the legs straight up and down, you can't go back at all. You bring it out like 1 click or so, and then again, if you use the thigh rotate, you can get it back almost 90. You just got to play with the thigh rotate a little, and then you've got the outward motion, which is a soft ratchet. And again, straight up, collides. Use the thigh rotate a little, and now you can get it up much higher. So, then of course there is your thigh rotate. Make sure that joint for transformation stays locked in, otherwise you'll end up with a broken leg like that. You have a double jointed knee. So here is the top joint, right? Then here is the bottom joint a little bit more proportional. And then, of course, if you use both of them, you can get back really far. Don't untab your leg like I just did. Thankfully, it goes back together easy. And then you've got ankle rock, toe, up and down, and that's about it. No rotate. So there you have his articulation. And he does pose pretty well. My little cardboard backing that I have here is not helping his case, but that's on me. Oh, and that knee was not straight, so. And let's do a couple of size comparisons. I don't have too many to do with this one. Here is Metagate Shatter. The top of his head crest comes up to right about the bottom of her headlights. And here is The Last Knight Optimus Prime, Alien Attack 01, King of Cavaliers. And again, head crest about somewhere at the bottom of his pecs. And I think those two look really good together. And then Takara G1 MP Sunstreaker, just so we can see a regular Carbot size. And Sunstreaker is about to the bottom, or I should say the top of his shoulders. And real quick, now that we're through articulation and all that, I did forget. Actually, I didn't forget. I didn't realize on his big swords that. Come on, focus. Tiny little magnet. And you know what that magnet is for? I thought people were just posing. The little guy here, he's got a magnet on his foot. I thought people were just balancing him and being really good with the pose. That's a little magnet. Hey, that's really cool. It's completely unnecessary as far as I'm concerned, but that's really cool. Such a small detail, and it's in both sides of the sword on both swords. And also during articulation, you saw it during transformation, but I did forget to mention that actually his wrist will fold down, which means he can do the really cool like sword pointing pose. And yeah, there it is. So anyway, there we go. All right, so there you go, Metagate's G07 Black Lightning. Overall, with the QC issues, he is a bit of a crapshoot. Are you going to get a good copy? Are you going to get one that needs a little bit of work? With things like the mismatch paint, is that a deal breaker to you? Are you okay with doing a little custom painting, or are you okay with it being like that? Overall, I would recommend it if you're, a fan of his design from The Last Knight, or if you're a fan of that car mode. I mean, he does look good in both modes. Even with the mismatch paint, I still think the mold, the sculpt looks good. And the transformation is easy. It's really fun. There's only a couple of nitpicky areas to look out for, and they're really not that bad. So, like I said, overall, I would recommend it, but with the QC issues, because they're basically trying to combat the KO companies, because they did that for the first Haiku. And I think this was a really bad idea to try and combat that. They should have just made him the same quality that we expect. And, sales would have come to them anyway. So I don't know what they were thinking there. But either way, it's just one of those things. Just be aware that you could end up, if you buy it, you could end up having some QC issues. Since they're still working on Blue Boy, the dropkick from the Bumblebee movie, who knows if they're going to bother doing like some kind of a premium version for this guy at some point, or any kind of like a different deco like they did for the first Haiku. If they do, maybe quality will improve for those. Maybe not. And maybe they'll just say, nope, this is what you guys get. This is it. Just to tide you over until we give you Dropkick. Which is another thing that, because they gave us this guy with a little bit lesser quality, I know now some people, myself included, are a little bit wary. What are they going to do with Dropkick? Is he going to have the same quality that we got with Shatter, which is going to be great? We're going to be good if that's the case. Or is he going to be more like this quality, which is, like I said, it's I don't even know if it's truly a 50-50. And if that's the case, especially Dropkick being a triple changer, he's probably going to be bigger, more closer to the size of Shatter. Uh, that's if they give us a quality like this, a lot more people are going to be upset about it, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be either reselling or returning their figures as soon as possible, or doing custom paint work or whatever the case might be. So, like I said, overall, I like the guy. I think he's pretty fun, and I'm glad I got him. Especially for the price. For me, he was $80 from Show's store, and I believe that included the shipping. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it did. But even so, shipping would have only been a couple of bucks if I had paid the extra. So overall, a less than $100 for this guy. For me, only having a little bit of that loose waist rotate, I'm happy with him. I'm happy. And if you get a figure like mine, I think you would be pretty pleased too. If the waist rotate bothers you, you can always use the screws included and see if that tightens things up, or maybe use some floor polish or something like that. I've never used floor polish in my figures, but I hear that a lot of people do for loose joints. I know nothing about that though. I haven't had a figure that is loose enough that I need to go using floor polish or kiki or anything like that. All mine have been just barely good enough they can hold a pose. So, but anyway, that is it. That's my thoughts on Black Lightning Drift from the last night. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to have a transformation video up for this guy shortly, if he's not already up by the time that you see this video. So, until next time.